as I am here and you are distant. Wherever you are, we must do the best we can. It is so far to travel, and we have nothing to travel except watermelon and sugar. I hope this works out. I live in a shack near Ideth. I can see Ideth out the window. It is beautiful. I can also see it with my eyes closed and touch it. Right now it is cold and turns like something in the hand of a child. I do not know what that thing is. There is a delicate balance in Ideth. It suits us. The shack is small but pleasing and comfortable, as my life. Made of pine, watermelon sugar and stones, is just about everything here is. Our lives we have carefully constructed from watermelon sugar, then travel to the lengths of our dreams along roads lined with pines and stones. I have a bed, a chair, a table, and a large chest that I keep my things in. I have a gentle life. arriving for the dance about half an hour before sundown. We took their mackinaws and hats, showed them into the trout hatchery. Everybody seemed musicians took out their instruments and waited for the sun to go down. It would only be a few moments now. We all waited patiently. The room glowed with lanterns, and trout swam back and forth in their trays and ponds. We would dance around them. Pauline looked pretty. Charlie's overalls looked good. The musicians were poised with their instruments. They were ready to go. It would only be a few seconds now. It would only be a few seconds now. 50 years old and was born and raised at IDEF. I remember sitting upon his knee as a child and having him tell me stories. Then he turned bad. It happened over a couple of years. He kept getting mad at things that were of no importance and going off by himself to the trout hatchery at IDEF. He became very removed from people, then his speech would become strange, slurred, and his movements jerky. He spent a lot of time at night in the trout hatchery. Sometimes he would laugh. You could hear this enormous laugh that had now become his, echoing through the rooms and halls into the very changing of IDEF. The indescribable way it changes. We like so much the way that suits us. the road to my shack. It was suddenly a very cold night and the stars shone like ice. I wish I had bought my Mackinaw. I walked up the road until I saw the lanterns on the bridges. They were the lanterns of a beautiful child and a trout on the real bridge, and the tiger lanterns on the abandoned bridge. I could barely see the statue of somebody who had been killed by tigers, but nobody knows who it was. So many were killed by the tigers until we killed the last tiger, burnt its body at Idef, built the trout hatchery right over the smolder. The statue was standing in the river by the bridges. It looked sad as though it did not want to be a statue of somebody killed by the tigers. A long time ago, I stopped and stared at a distance. A little while passed and I went to the bridge. I crossed through the dark tunnel of the covered rail bridge, past the glowing faces and up the piney woods, towards my shack.
Watch out, watch out. watch out, watch out. Tigers in